So we are starting this week's masterclass, and I have only just started recording, which means that everyone who's watching this will have absolutely no idea why we're sitting here in kimonos. And as we were explaining to Wing Commander Thwaites, who's joining us on the call, it is the Balinese New Year, and part of the festivities that we did last year, we've done this year, involves just getting a nice filler, and then relaxing in what's known as the Balinese Day of Silence after the actual festival, which is tonight. And you're not allowed outside. You're not allowed to kind of do anything. You've got to turn the lights off at night. You've got to be
You
quiet. It's
stay
about
inside and you wear that
you
kimono.
stay inside and you wear that kimono. So that is what's happening. It's actually, you don't have to wear a kimono, but we just found it in the cupboard and we're like, we're going to jump on board with this. This is happening. So we're doing this masterclass in the kimono, and it's going to be epic because this week is the masterclass of sales. And we touched on sales the previous week, where we demonstrated live how to use Claude Code to build a sales funnel in literally a single prompt with a $3 domain that you can purchase, host instantly for free on Vercel, and have a website up in. I mean, it was done in one prompt while we were on the masterclass. And obviously, if you want to check out last week's recording, I believe that was masterclass 25, which is Bootcamp Week 8. And you'll find it in the weekly mastermind replays in the community. Second little point of housekeeping for you guys as well is that we are in the process of restructuring the classroom and the trainings within the community to make it a lot more user friendly, easier to navigate, and also make sure the sections are aligned with the type of support that you might need relative to the stage that you're at in your business. So two of the categories, for example, one relates to if you're just starting out, and another one relates to if you're a bit further along your business journey, because different AI tools and different use cases will be more suitable depending on where you're at. And so we've started to structure it in this way, as opposed to the previous method, which was like, here's a bunch of workflows, and then it's like, here's a TikTok course that we did a while ago, and here's some other stuff, and it's a little bit higgledy-piggledy, as
This
we
is
say in the
much
UK.
more intentional, and this is based on the feedback that we've received from quite a few of you.
Yeah.
So if you do look into it and you check out our resources in the classroom, leave us feedback. Or if you're watching this on YouTube, comment, leave us feedback because we actually do listen and we make the changes needed.
That's right. We do listen. So like, comment, subscribe, and all that stuff if you're watching on YouTube. And of course, if you are watching on YouTube, down below in the description, you'll see the link to join us in the school community. It's free. And we share a bunch of stuff, a bunch of resources to help you get started with using AI effectively in your business to create actual results.
Yeah.
So, all of that being said, let's go on to the main event of this call. And I think Wing Commander Thwaites, I think you're going to be in the limelight, the hot seat on this sales training call. So as always, mate, any questions, any thoughts, any things to add, anything like that, please feel free to dive in. Your input is always welcome, mate.
Yes.
Cool. Cool. There we are. Very good. A man of usually more words, but hey, who am I to judge? Let's keep rolling. No worries. Oh, I love it. Okay, so the format for this call is we're going to talk about some ideas around how to nurture your prospect in the gap between booking an appointment. This is going to be specific for high ticket business models. We will talk about other business models as well, but we're going to start off the bulk of this with a high ticket business model. And the reason that we're going to start with this model is that a lot of the time, it's the fastest, easiest, most direct route to market and the most direct and straightforward way to get a business off the ground. And I'll explain what I mean. If you are a business owner who's starting out a business, hi Susie. If you are a business owner that's launching something from scratch, the bonus, the benefit of the high ticket business model, which will typically be expert led, so selling, consulting or coaching expertise around whatever it is that you're delivering and helping other businesses create results that you can create based on your skill set. This is a very, very straightforward way to start making, to start crossing that range from 0 to 10K per month. Let's say that you're selling a $3,000 price point. Maybe it's a 90-day, consulting package or coaching package around your expertise, whatever that may be. You need to close 4 clients to make 12 grand in a month at 3 grand price point for 90 days. The second reason is that when you're delivering that service, it's trading time for money, yes, but what it's doing is it's giving you direct feedback from your target market, both during sales calls and during deliverables when you're actually understanding what it is that they need, what are their challenges, what are their problems. And typically what might happen, and there's many different business models, but typically if you're starting with an expert model that solves a particular pain and problem for a particular market, the journey might go start by selling time for money, high ticket coaching, consulting, one-to-one. Then you might go into one to many, which would be group formats. So like webinars or cohorts, masterclasses, masterminds, anything where you're then starting to add a bit of leverage into your products. And you get to this stage once you already know what pains and problems your target market needs solving. You've already got that voice of customer feedback from the people you've spoken to realize, this is a theme that keeps coming up. So when I do a group program, I know that the majority of people are going to need this problem solved. So it's the one-to-one that allows you to start tailoring and custom building a solution for more people in a one-to-many. And then the next stage might typically look like one to many, 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 many. So it might be like tools, software, SaaS. Now it's AI solutions that you can sell to your target market. And, this, if you're starting just selling like a SaaS solution, an AI tool, an AI this and AI that, and you're not having any conversations with your target market, it's kind of a bit of a roulette, right? You can do some MVP tests, as we've repeatedly advised, to see what the market resonates with. But ultimately, if you're going to deliver a fantastic end-to-end solution, you really need to understand your customer, not just what they believe they need when they buy your product, and not just what problem you're pitching that you solve on the product, but also what happens during the deliverables journey, right? What challenges come up? What the stumbling blocks are there? What other problems will need solving throughout integrating what it is you do? So this is just one of several reasons why starting out with a high ticket one-to-one expert based business model makes a lot of sense for a lot of offers and a lot of industries. It's not the only way to do it. I mean, a lot of you guys know Amy's service-based business in Los Angeles. It's a pet care business. And I mean, in a sense, you did start with one-to-one doing it yourself. Like that feedback still gave you so much information about what your customers need and want and how to position offers before you then started growing a team. So
I don't think I could have done it any other way.
right.
If I like built a business model and then an onboarding guide like for my future team, but I didn't actually have any clients, I would honestly probably quit. It was so much work.
Yeah.
But because I did it one-on-one, and then I grew from there. Well, one, I did actually get to know my clients and taped my actual cell phone number to polls. That was a learning lesson. And so I kind of like built my bridge as I walked across it. And I think that's what a lot of entrepreneurs do. So yeah, that was really helpful. I think sometimes people get really caught up in like they need to have everything perfectly sorted. They have to like know exactly what problem they're going to solve and exactly how they're going to scale.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times it doesn't work like that.
Yeah, it's like that feedback, isn't it? Like
It's a
you just
feedback.
keep iterating.
Yeah. Especially that's why we're getting into the age of like why personal brand is so important. And I know you've talked about this a lot. If there's any type of like therapy or coaching or anything related to that person's face selling something, that's where personal brand comes in. And yeah, that goes more into marketing, but it's still very relevant.
Yeah, exactly. So let's basically talk about the next stage in the process, which is if you are selling a high ticket service based offer, right? An expert business. What you then need to do, or what is often worth doing, is nurturing and pre-qualifying somebody between when you get an appointment booked and when they get on a call. Now, one of the challenges that I personally have been facing recently in a couple of the offers that I've launched, and this is now a current problem that I'm actively solving and implementing, is that people would book a call And this is particularly for Crayon Construct, so the construction AI business, the business partnership I have with my business partner Matthew. So people will book a call, and then many of them would then either like not show up or just be like, yeah, sorry, can we reschedule this? I'm too busy today, and they put it off and put it off, and then they disappear. And really, we hadn't built up enough value between them saying, yeah, all right, I'll have a call, and then the actual call happening. So by that time, they're like, oh, this is actually, this is kind of a chore that I have to do, as opposed to this is something I'm really excited to attend. And again, to deliver value in that process, it often starts with actually having some initial conversations first. Like you might get 10 booked and four show up or something like that. But those first conversations will tell you what it is that they were interested in, what sparked their curiosity, what their problems actually are, what they believe they need. And this is then how you can start to pre-hint or even pre-solve a couple of these problems in that nurture process prior to the call. So I'm going to show you something. I built this yesterday, and I'm going to caveat this by saying this came from going through this iteration a couple of times, right? So getting on calls, having conversations, refining the process, getting on more calls, having a few more conversations. No deals closed yet. We still got some challenges to solve in, how we position the offer and so on and so forth. And so this solution that I'm about to show you was me and Matthew thinking, right, how can we demonstrate before the call that we can actually do something that's far above and beyond the impression that business owners have of what AI is. So I'll explain what that means. When we speak to people, it's not until they get on a call with us that they even begin to realize that when we say AI solutions in their business, we're not talking about copying and pasting from ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Right? That's a lot of the time. Like the interpreter, they're like, oh, there's another guy emailing about AI. Yeah, we use ChatGPT. Like we're not interested. They don't, and obviously, for a lot of business owners, they're not in this space. They don't grasp like what it is we're really doing. And so one of our challenges for Crayon Construct is how do we get someone to see, oh, this is worlds apart from, this is a whole new world that they've not been aware of. And in your business, for anyone watching this recording, for Susie, for John on the call, anyone else watching in the community, your own business might have a similar challenge. People don't quite grasp how valuable what you offer is, or it might be something different. It might be an objection that you keep hearing on calls, like, you get on a call and somebody says, like, oh, yeah, I was kind of reluctant actually to speak with you because I've always just thought that what you guys do is a bit I don't know, like you'll hear maybe an objection that comes up a couple of times. So if you can pre-frame and address that before they even get on the call with you, you will likely get many more people actually show up, right? And that's again just from sort of having conversations and asking. Okay, so let me show you this example. Do you have anything to add to that before I dive in?
Yeah, I mean, it reminds me of the call that someone reached out to me and they said, wow, you scaled your pet care business really quickly, really well. And they read through my website and everything. So they wanted to hop on a call to understand what I did in order to scale and how I can like essentially live in Bali and still have a team in Los Angeles and I'm still growing the business. And a lot of the reason why is because of all the backend systems that Dan and I have worked on to create. Let's be honest, it's Dan that Dan created for me to streamline these things, right? And one of them is I have a voice agent now. We don't have a ton of people calling, but as you could imagine, if you have kids or you have pets at home, you sometimes might want to talk to someone on the phone just to feel more comfortable rather than booking a walk directly online. So we set up a voice agent. And so this person who reached out to me, who has her pet care agency as well, she was curious about what I did. And one of the things I told her was I have a voice agent that answers the few phone calls that I get per month. And she was like, oh, I would never do that. Like, I want to answer the phone myself. And we were like, just call the number. And she's like, it'll probably sound like a robot. She had all these like expectations and preconceived notions about what it would sound like if you called and spoke with an AI agent. We named her Megan. So she calls and then she, puts it on mute. We're on Zoom. She puts it on mute. She's calling, talking. She probably had a 2-minute conversation. Then she comes back on. She's like, okay, it sounded like a real person. And she only knew it was AI because we told her. So I think we've come such a long way since 2023 when ChatGPT was released to the public. And unfortunately, I think a lot of people are still stuck in that mindset. You're right, of like
Mm.
AI equals copy and paste from ChatGPT.
Yeah.
So that's one example of yeah, someone who communicated with me that they were interested in hearing what I did to scale. But then when I told them, they had all these walls up and preconceived notions. So that's why we're here, doing what we're doing every Wednesday.
That is exactly it. So let's. I think I've just realised as well. Susie will have no idea why we're sitting here in matching kimonos.
Oh,
So, Susie, you'll have to watch the recording and get back to get back to the start of the call to understand what on earth is going on here. So, no, all good. Right, let me go ahead and share screen and go into this dashboard. So, this was again like you guys, if you've seen the last Masterclass replay, which was Masterclass 25, you'll have seen an example of building a landing page using a single prompt in Claude Code. That was this guy. I believe that was the address that we bought. Yeah. So this landing page here, all right, with an ROI calculator, a PDF report, custom dashboard. It could do with a little tidying up, but fine. And then lead magnet for the report. So total cost of this was the $20 a month Claude subscription and $3 for the domain plus free hosting. Out and one prompt, and then maybe
pretty good.
yeah, one refinement prompt after. So one prompt, one refinement, blah blah blah. But you get the point. It's so much easier than it's ever been. So then started thinking, okay, how can we begin to solve the next problem, which is people, again, not showing up for calls because they don't understand enough value of what it is we're going to do for their business before the call, right? I've sent them an email, they've said they're interested, they booked a call, now I've got to warm them up. So what do we build? I built a simple dashboard, and again, this is a back and forward prompt, maybe 4 times, 5 times. Same process that we talked through on last week's masterclass. So start with the PRD. That's the project requirements, the product requirements document. That's just plan mode in Claude Code, and you get the plan right as we demonstrated on last week's call. Put some time and energy into refining that. Once you're happy with the plan and it looks good, only then do you start the build on Claude Code. And this is the result of that back and forward a few times with my requirements and scope and what I needed. And honestly, most of it just comes from being able to speak clearly enough about what it is that you actually want. Like describe it in human language. And it does help, of course, to understand, that you want to have it designed in Next.js and Tailwind, and if there's a database, it needs to be in Supabase or Postgres or whatever. These more developer terms that can seem quite overwhelming. Like it can help to understand that, but at the end of the day, you can just ask. You say, Claude, what would you recommend I use for this project? And then when it gives you recommendations, say search online to check this information against various highly recommended sources to ensure that this is accurate and just put that as the first step in the PRD, right? Just go check your own information that you've given me that this is the best way to do this. You don't actually need to know, like Claude can actually do it for you. So here's the dashboard. And the sole opportunity of this is, oh, sorry, the sole, I'm reading words on the screen while talking. The sole reason or objective of this dashboard is for someone to look at this and go, okay, this is clearly more than copy pasting in ChatGPT. I need to be speaking to these guys. And so what happens is they reply to one of my emails. They say, yeah, I'd be interested in you building an immediate dashboard for me for free to show you what I can do. Or, I offer that an email and they say, yes, build the dashboard. Like, okay, cool. My agent then picks it up, it scrapes their website, it generates what's called a brand.md file, which includes their branding color, the hex color codes. It pulls their logo from the website, it pulls their fonts from their website, and then it generates a version of this dashboard in their brand with their logo and their color schemes. It's basically a skin. That's all it is. It's just inheriting a different color palette, but it's pulled from their website. And then it will send them a link, say, here's your custom dashboard. They can interact with it and click around with it like I'm doing now. just dummy data, but the point is to demonstrate that we can build some pretty cool shit, you know? And so they can click around, and then the call to action in this dashboard, which is essentially a sales magnet, is what next? Book a call with me. Right? And if they've got a call already booked, I'll send them another version of this. I'll just modify it in a single prompt and have it in a different project. And it will then be like, I don't know what the call to action will be, but it'll be something like we've got our call booked for this time, and I'll have it pulled through from like Google, or I'll think of how to do that. But it'll be like, we've got our call booked for this time, confirm the time by clicking yes, or reschedule by clicking this button, or something like that. Okay, so again, it's just I'm trying to think like what could I build that would help someone, or that would solve one of the common reasons as to why I believe people are not getting on the call based on the feedback I have.
I love this so much because this is basically a pimped out lead magnet
Yeah,
for warm leads who have already responded to you.
yeah.
And I love this, and I want to highlight what your thought process was, because a lead magnet, generally, how most people think of a lead magnet is like the PDF that you pulled up, which is still great. Or on Instagram, it's like comment this word and we DM you a free XYZ, whatever, guide or something. This is like, you didn't just use AI to automate more of those. You took it one step further and you're like, what do my clients actually want to see? Why aren't they booking a call yet? And let me go down that route of what would someone want to see? And you know this because you spoke with someone and they were like, this would be cool to see this. And you ran with it. And so I think that just goes to show the if you automate shit, you just get 10 times more shit. It's like if you automate just the basic lead magnet, for example, if you were just create like 10 PDFs with AI, that won't guarantee the result, which is actually what you want, which is a booked call. And I think that's like just highlighting what an entrepreneur mindset is. You don't just want to keep automating whatever it is that's out there, whatever it is that you're currently using. It's constantly tweaking. Okay, what does my client actually want to see? If I'm not getting the result after a month, what can I tweak? And I think that's really great. So I think this is the future of lead magnets, is what does your client actually want to see, and then an interactive thing that is customized to them. So I feel like for dog walking, for example, if someone wanted to purchase the like software that we're putting together, essentially, that would be cool if they saw, instead of them taking time to hop on a call and I walk through everything that says Betches walking Betches in my logo and my font, what if in 60 seconds we can create a dummy dashboard where they can see? And that, I mean, that could be applicable for any business.
Yeah, and it could even be as well, let's take Betches as an example. So again, Betches is a lower ticket service-based business.
Yeah.
Right? We're selling dog walks and overnight pet sitting.
Yeah, that's for B2C. I was thinking B2B, but go on about the B2C.
Yeah, let's talk about it, because I think a lot of people might have more B2C businesses, and
That's a good point.
and again, like it's a different business model. So if we were going to build, which we will, I think quite soon, start re-looking at the pre-appointment booked stage of the customer journey. So the question I'll be asking is, what are the biggest reasons that stop people from booking an appointment? Okay. These are going to be things, it's friction points. Because if there's zero friction, if there's zero risk or perceived risk, and if it solves, or they believe that it will solve the problem that they're paying the money to solve, right? If you have those three things, and again, sales with, there's the know, like, and trust element as well, and that comes into risk and blah, blah, blah. But ultimately, it's like, know, like, and trust factors into these three things, right? If the friction is as low as possible, think convenience. If the perceived risk is non-existent, so think like risk reversals, it will deliver this result, or you get all your money back plus 10% or something like that. Plus, they believe that it is actually going to solve their problem. Like, that's the baseline of someone going, okay, well, I mean, nothing to lose. Like, okay, fine, take my money, done. And so to get to that point, and this is just a quick side note on this, the convenience factor, the reducing risk, the reducing friction step has been a massive, massive, massive value add over the last, decade, maybe even 15 years. for so many of now the largest companies in the world. Think your Ubers, your Netflixes, companies that go really focus on the convenience, on demand. Like how many on-demand services exist now? Cloud-based services, companies. And this reduces friction. The example of like Netflix versus Blockbuster. Okay, you want to watch a movie in Blockbuster, you got to get out your house, you got to put your clothes on, you got to walk outside, you got to go to the store, you got to find it in the store, you got to like maybe you're introverted and you don't want to talk to people, like fine, there's all this friction. Netflix, you literally just turn on your TV and sit on the sofa and watch anything you want, right? Convenience.
So let's say someone is like a coach or a therapist and has their own coaching business. We know a lot of coaches here in Bali. So what would you say to them in terms of what could they show in a dashboard or a customized lead magnet, like what we're talking about? What would be something like that they could show convenience, low perceived risk, so like a guarantee or something,
Yeah.
and then trust that it will actually solve their problem, but in a customized lead magnet? Like what does that look like?
Yeah, so we'll cover that one. That's a good one because I think it's quite relevant, and we can circle back to Betches as well, like what that might look like. But take the coaching offer. Again, the focus for creating some sort of lead magnet would be based on what's the number one reason that people tell you they were reluctant to use coaching services in your industry. And it might be is probably the biggest objection on the sales call. That's likely going to be a big candidate. If they're objecting to buying on the sales call, pretty high chance that's also a pre-sales call objection that stops them even coming on the call in the first place. Oh, I thought you guys were going to be crazy expensive and way out of my price range. Oh, I thought of it, but I kind of have this, this notion that I want to figure stuff out myself. Like I feel kind of ashamed that I need a coach or someone to help me with this. I'm independent. Coaching. So like, what if there's a common thread there of like, oh, if I hire a coach, it means I'm kind of giving up and admitting that I can't do it myself. Okay, well then I develop like what can you highlight in an initial lead magnet to really to draw awareness to the fact that this is not the case. Like some of the greatest business owners, entrepreneurs, and leaders in the world today attribute coaching as the reason that they've succeeded and thrived and so on and so forth. And you're somewhat stronger together. And then you go, okay, well, let's say that's the message I'm getting across. What's the vehicle that I could use to deliver that message? And for me, that vehicle that I've just showed you is like, okay, I can deliver a dashboard. Why is that a suitable vehicle for my offer? Because I'm trying to demonstrate that we're really good at building custom AI solutions that can actually improve their business process. So it's a way, it's like I'm trying to show enough of a flashy system that they go, this isn't ChatGPT. Right? That's why I'm using that vehicle. That vehicle might not be the vehicle of choice though for let's say a coaching offer. It might be testimonial videos, like it's a tried and true one. But then you could deliver it in a way that stands out. You're like, let's deliver testimonial videos, but let's deliver it through what essentially looks like an app because that's going to really, highlight that you are professional, you're the real deal. It's a better way for someone to consume content in a pattern interrupting way. Like there's different combinations that you can do, but really whether I was going to say lead magnet, whether a sales aid pre-call nurture, whether it's good or not, it's not actually about like, is it a dashboard? It's about, is this directly answering a concern or objection or reason that people have to not engage in that conversation with you in the first place? If yes, cool, it's got a good potential to be invaluable. What are you going to say? I've
I don't know
interrupted
if
your
it's
train of thought.
creepy or not, but okay.
Let's find out.
I'm wondering when someone fills out, let's say they're on a website and they have a lead magnet form and they fill out their name, maybe email, and maybe it's a qualifying question, maybe. Like what brought you to us or what problem are you having? I don't know. And then let's say a coach coaches many different people and one of them is like postpartum mothers, for example. And maybe that's the drop down that they click. I wonder if the customized lead magnet could go to a testimonial video of someone directly who they helped. So that way they're not like scrolling through testimonial videos or clicking through testimonial videos, but it's like a curated experience for someone exactly in that position who they've helped before.
It's a great idea.
So it's like a more curated testimonial experience.
Yeah, this actually that this is a really good point.
Yeah.
So this what the way that these personalized journeys used to work
Yeah.
in the days of autoresponders was you had to do tags and you had to do incredibly elaborate complex maps in your email
Hmm.
autoresponder of like, oh, they're this tag, they go this way, they're this tag, they go this way. You've got to duplicate the campaigns, you've got to rewrite all the content, you've got to have a different video in each path, and then if you
Hmm.
change the copy, you've got to edit all five paths. And it was like absolute nightmare. And I used to try and get really clever with this stuff back in the
Oh,
day,
yeah.
but just it was too much
I don't
work. I
think
was
the
like,
technology was there for
no,
this.
it was just like completely impractical. But now that kind of system is one prompt. You're literally like,
Mm.
these are the type of customers or clients that I would serve. These are let's say the nine profiles that
Yeah.
are relevant to my offer, whether it's postpartum mothers, whether it's like, high anxiety career professionals, whether it's da 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 da. And
Yeah.
then all you would do is say something like, set up a file structure for me that is aligned
Hmm.
to these nine categories and then sort my resources. So using the same kind of like, so Amy used Claude Cowork very recently to extract what 7,000 photos from
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
CRM and sort them in Google Drive based on what images and blah blah blah. So again, you just like go, Claude, like here's what I want to do, sort all my stuff. And so what
Yeah.
you could then have is these
Hmm.
folders in say Google Drive, all with assets and resources related to the path that they select on the lead form, which again, Claude can build. And then you just say like, when you send them the first email, just pull the content from the relevant Google Drive folder and put that into the template when you send it. And it's just fully dynamic and it's all code based and Claude's written
Hmm.
it for you. It's like you can fully personalize customer journeys when you nurture them pre-sales call. So great idea.
So customized lead magnet that equals a customized path.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, yeah. And again,
Yeah.
if it's relevant to the offer, again, there's a difference between building flashy shit that actually doesn't solve real problems, or if you're like, I'm kind of forced to send everyone the same generic stuff, even though they're all different types of people. And so, well, actually now you can completely tailor the stuff that you send someone automatically and that really just comes from like you sitting there right now and going, wouldn't it be cool if you could do this thing? Because that
Hmm.
would be useful. Well, yeah, you
Hmm.
can. Like now you can. There's no barrier to entry anymore. Like, yes, you can. So it just goes
Yeah.
back to customer journey. It's like, what would be a really valuable experience for my customers? Just assume that tech isn't a limitation
Yeah.
anymore because really it's not, you know?
For that to work, I feel like someone has to niche down. They have to know their audience. They have to
Mm.
know who their customer is. Instead of just like, I'm a coach who coaches everyone,
Right.
then there won't be drop downs and there won't be customized pathways.
Mm.
So I know we talked about that in a previous masterclass, but I think like just reiterating why this is so important um in this pathway.
For sure.
Yeah.
And this goes back to what we were talking about near at the start of this call, which is that if you're having these conversations, and I found exactly this with the Dan Holloway AI agency, like I keep selling personalized outreach solutions. I wouldn't have guessed that, like when I first started offering all the things that I offer and have sold now. Like, I've done project management dashboards, content management systems,
Mm.
like many, I say many, like, I think was it four personalized outreach systems? I think it doesn't matter. The
Yeah.
point is that like the vast majority all ends up being personalized outreach. And so I only knew that that would be the case, and I only knew what the objections were and the sort of questions that come up because I was having those conversations. And so now, on the Dan Holloway, with the personalized outreach stuff, I've got these ideas of how can I make it better. And on
Yeah.
the Crayon Construct side, I'm going through this process again at the moment and getting that feedback and then thinking, how can we, improve this sales process to serve our customers? So. Let's move on to the sales script. So I wanted to make sure that we cover
Yep.
that on this
Good.
on the bulk of this call. We touched on this in last week's call. Now we're going to go through this in a bit more structure and detail. And to do this, what I'm going to do for you guys is first of all, let me share screen so you can grab a screenshot of this. Uh, just Notion board. We just go for wrong
Oh,
one. So again, Zoom windows on the way. Uh,
I think it was open over here. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm just trying to get that.
there you go.
Okay, that's what I wanted. Again, I've got Zoom windows left, right, and center. So this is going to cover, it will, for sure, it's going to be exactly where I want to click in the
You
screen
can't
in a
move
minute.
it.
Yeah.
Looks good.
Okay, cool. All right, so let me show you, we'll go on to that in a second. So this is the structure that I'm going to go through with you guys today. So there's going to be a first part which we'll call I call it a setter script. So what is a setter? A setter would be somebody that works in your business who sets appointments. They book appointments for you. They qualify prospects, they buzz them up a little bit, they uncover a couple of pains and problems, and then they book the appointment. Right. So a setter's job is to make sure that they show up to the appointment for the closer to then have the sales conversation with them already qualified and then close the call. Now, a setter script often will just be the first part of a sales call that a closer would do if they didn't have a setter. What does that mean? It means you're discovering and uncovering a couple of pains and problems. It means that you're starting to demonstrate the value or the importance of solving these problems by agitating them a bit. And then you would go into the rest of the sales process. So that can happen in what's called a one call close. It can happen in a set pre-qualification into booked call, maybe one call close. It might be over a set first call and then second call, right? You might have a two call close process. So the setting script is really often just the first part of this process, but I'm just going to highlight that for any businesses that do have a setter and a closer, this is, I'll show you the setter script there. Yes. So discovery format. Again, I'll run through this in a bit more detail. This is essentially a discovery questions thread that I use. This is kind of a little bit big when I have it on Mac screen. So let me just go back to here and let me open it in the side window. There you go. It's kind of a little bit more, there we are, a little bit more manageable if anyone wants to screenshot that. And the discovery questions. So there's many different questions that you could ask on sales calls. But really, what I find gets to the point quickest is a thread around what are you doing? What caused you to use that approach? Why is it? What do you find most frustrating with it, most time consuming? What doesn't work? Have you tried to solve it before? What are the implications of not solving it in the past? Or sorry, what are the implications of not solving this problem for your business, for your life, for your family, for anything else? And how valuable would it be if those were solved? Okay. Now, what this thread is getting to, and there's more detail, and I'll run through the actual script, the full script with you in a minute, but you'll see that in the discovery process, this is really what's happening. What we're trying to get to is the pains and problems that are I use the term frustrating because I think pains and problems has now become very salesy. You start talking about pains and problems, everyone knows like what pains and it's a sales script that you're going through. Okay, fine. But like what pisses you off? What frustrates you? What takes so much goddamn time? It's the one task that you hate every week. However you word it, that is gonna, I think, is a lot of more of a cleaner way to get to what are your biggest pains and problems in your business? Well, I'd love more revenue and this and that and that. Okay, what really pisses you off? I'll tell you what, this is one bloody task that I do every week. It drives me insane. Like whatever that thing is. Da, da, da. Okay, what? Oh, all right. Well, how long have you been doing that? What caused you to use that approach? Well, it's we've kind of told it was the way to do things 2 years ago, and I guess we've just been doing it ever since and haven't changed anything. Okay. Well, what do you like about it? There's another question, by the way, that I'll often ask. What do you like about it? I don't know. I mean, I hate the thing. I'm like, well, you've been doing it 2 years. There must be something you like about it. Come on. And so what that does is it will often add a more balanced perspective, right? Because again, if all we're doing is negative, 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 yeah, okay, some people's barriers can start to come up a little bit. But if you're doing more of the doctor type approach, so you're researching the idea and before you start diagnosing problems, this kind of question, again, it will actually get prospects more telling you why they need to buy what it is that you sell. They're like, well, I do like a couple of things, but honestly, like it's so bad. Like it has this effect and this effect and this thing and this thing, and this is why it's so annoying. It's like, okay, great. These are all the reasons that if your product or service solves these problems, well, they're just telling you all the reasons that they need to buy from you, right? So let me share screen again. There we go. So yeah, what's frustrating? Have you tried to solve it before? Implications. You know, what happens if you stay like this for the same, 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 months, or even 2 years? What happens if we don't change? Well, okay, well, the business is going to be down and like revenue's down and team's frustrated and then you dig. Okay, those are bad things, but what are the real implications? Team's frustrated. What would happen if some of your A players left? What about revenue stays down? Like, how profitable are you guys at the moment? You're doing it right? Do you want to do better? Like, what's really going on in the business? And what you're trying to do is get to a much deeper level, like a much more emotional level of what's the real implication of not solving this problem. Now, do you remember? I think Susie, you were on last week's call. We ran through this briefly at the end. Do you remember we talked about the logical certainty and the emotional certainty on a sales call? Don't worry if not, I'm not putting you on the spot. It's okay. Um, but the logical certainty is what somebody will use to justify why they bought after the fact. And if you don't cover the logical certainty, you'll often get buyer's remorse, right? You can get someone like really excited and pumped up on the call, like, oh yeah, I need this. But then afterwards, when they calm down again, they're like, wait, hold on, like, okay, I bought this thing, but why actually shit? What about this thing? What about this thing? What if this doesn't work? What if this fear, 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 fear? You'll then get cancellations, people saying like, oh, I'm not sure if I've made the right decision. Can we postpone it for 3 months? I just need to get this in order first and blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of buyer's remorse. But on the flip side, if you only sell on logic, but you don't sell on emotion, like why is this important to them? Human beings are not actually moved into action by logic. We're moved into action by emotion, right? So we buy on emotion, we justify with logic. And so if you can, get somebody emotionally invested into why they need to solve this problem, why is it important for you to, for them to choose you to help them solve this problem? And you also have the logical case. What happens afterwards, if you do close the deal, then they say, oh, okay, well, yeah, but they explained that, if this happens, this and the guarantee and this thing and the numbers make sense and the ROI and I'm going to make my money back. And like all the logical reasons will then be the story that they continue to tell themselves afterwards because they can't say afterwards, oh, I was just really excited and that's why I bought. I was like, I really just felt great about it. Their mind's then going to go, yeah, but come on, like, what about this? What about this? What about this? What about this? Right? So you have to have the logic as well. Okay, logical and emotional certainty, very key. So we'll circle back to the objection handling process that I'm going to share with you guys afterwards. But for now, let's have a look at the script. And as we're looking at the script, I'd like you guys to pay attention to these, see if you can recognize these parts of the process within the script, right? There are other sections, you will see this. So for example, demonstration, like that, that's obviously going to be a section. Maybe it's a product demonstration if you sell a product. If you're selling a service, it's going to be highlighting the value, like the solutions, how are you going to solve their problems? How does it work? Right? And you might have sales aids as well. We'll touch on sales aids if we have time. But ultimately, I'll show you the script and see if you can recognize some of these things within that script. So let's add the sales call script for Crown Construct. I will full screen this. Okay. Sometimes I say this Fathom agenda if it's relevant, sometimes I don't. Most people now add their own note takers to the meeting anyway. Everyone knows meetings are recorded. Most of the time, honestly, I don't even bother. But if for some reason I feel that it might be a problem, just my little blurb before we start the call is I use Fathom Note Taker, which records the meeting and means I can be present with you instead of taking lots of notes during the call. I'll send you the link afterwards as well in case you want any of your team members to review the recording. That okay with you? Sound good? Yeah, perfect. Cool. Just confirm that it's okay to record the call. Because again, like if I sense that there's an issue there, I don't want them sitting there with their guard up thinking I don't feel comfortable being recorded and I'm not going to say anything or, be sort of real and honest because I need him to sign an NDA because I don't want to reveal sensitive information or something like that. I'd rather just, if I feel it's going to be an issue, set the scene. Intent. I mentioned this last week. I love this question. I've used it in sales for as long as I can remember, honestly, since software sales for sure. So what sparked your curiosity to have a look at what I can do? Or what sparked your curiosity when you first replied to my email to, to book in a call with me? What was it that sparked your curiosity? It's just a very non-threatening and conversational way to get into, so tell me about your business. Tell me about your pains and problems. It's just kind of like, all right, we're transitioning from chit chat and small talk or whatever, the good mornings, the hellos, how you doing, da da da, into, okay, so what sparked your curiosity out of interest to have a look at what we can do? And that's a nice bridge into the sales call itself. And they'll start to give you a bit of an idea of the direction that this call is likely to go, and also what objections are possibly going to come up during the call. They might say something like, well, I thought I'd have a quick look because I was interested in this idea of AI for cost estimations. I'm not sure if we're ready to buy yet or anything, but I was just curious. Okay, cool. Right, good stuff. So cost estimations. And I've also got an idea of he's going to give me this objection of we're not ready yet. Let me think about it at the end of the call. So I need to pre-frame that during the call, pre-handle it during the call. Okay, love this question. So again, sometimes I don't bother with this. Like if it feels like it's needed, if it's more of like say a formal sales call, or they're kind of like quite closed off, quite awkward, which does happen sometimes. I would explain. So to start with, we generally just ask a few questions to understand your business, your systems, your workflows, your team, and your processes. And then I can propose a few ideas for how we could very quickly start saving as much time and money in your business as possible. And again, this is totally relevant to what I sell. I would even probably say for most of the time, this kind of stuff isn't necessary. We just want to get into the discovery and start learning what's important to them, what their pains, problems, frustrations are, and how you can help them. But if there's some pre-framing that you feel is useful for your business, you can put that there as well. So logical certainty. All right, so the summary, and again, we saw this in the other Notion board that I showed you. This is the discovery questions. So what are you doing right now? How long have you been doing that? What caused you to use that approach? What do you find most frustrating or time consuming, or what pisses you off the most about what you're doing right now for your cost estimations? Right? Have you tried to solve it before? What are the implications if you don't solve it? If you're working 60 hours a week and burnt out and your wife's going mad at you because you're never home for dinner in the evening, what are the implications? Like, I mean, let's be real here. Why is it important that you solve this now? And then start sort of transitioning into, let's imagine the future. What would it look like for you? How valuable would it be if a company like us or someone else could actually solve this for you? What would that do for your life, for your business, for your family? And what would that mean? And again, if someone calls out, so sometimes someone might call out, well, this is a bit of a salesy question and so on and so forth. And I will literally, I never, ever, 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 ever hide behind the fact that this is a sales conversation. I never be like, oh yeah, that's okay. You don't have to answer it if you're uncomfortable. Da 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 da. Point is, well, yeah, like obviously, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm sure you're spending your time with me today because you want to find out if I can help solve your problems in your business. I'm sure you're a busy guy. Like this isn't just you've got nothing better to do. Fair to say? Right. Okay, cool. So, if we're here to talk about solving the problems in your business, let's talk about the problems in your business and then figure out if it's a fit. Is that fair enough? Yeah. Okay, cool. It's like just direct head on. So it kind of gives you, so that sort of positioning gives you the what's the word I'm looking for? Not clarification, but gives you the ability to ask much more probing questions. So I just go in, just ask, like probe, probe, probe. If you get any pushback and kickback, just be like, just head on. Just be like, of course, that's why we're here, right? You're not here because you've got nothing better to do. Sure, you want to solve your problems. What do you think?
I love the question, is that fair? Is that fair?
Is that fair enough?
Because, well, it's a great question with the word choice. It's very like disarming.
Mm.
But another thing is it's a yes frame question. So it puts them in the frame of mind to say yes. And when you ask yes frame questions, obviously not overusing it, but like any question where it's like, oh yeah, it sounds like you had a busy day, huh? And they say, yes, I had a busy day. Is that fair enough? Yes. So when they say yes, they're more likely to be more open and trusting and listen to you psychologically.
Correct. Micro commitments.
Micro
Exactly.
commitments.
That's it. And the tone as well, again, this is just a side thing, but just while I'm thinking of it, the tone that I use when I go, sound fair enough? So that tone is very deliberate. Okay. So the upwards inflection, the tone is, look, we're both reasonable people, right? Imagine if I was saying, come on, we're both reasonable people, right? And then you do that as a question with an upwards inflection. It's like, sound fair enough? Like, come on, sound fair enough? You see the tone. It's not like, sound fair enough? Is that okay? I'm not treading on
Mm.
eggshells. I'm like, look, come on, sound fair enough? That's the tone. So tee up the ROI. What does this mean? So when we uncover what are the frustrations, what are the implications of not solving it, how valuable would it be if these problems were solved? Teeing up the ROI might look like something like, okay, cool. So you're saying like, it's costing you 10 hours a week on this thing at the moment. So, I mean, what's that in hours? Like, what, 520 hours a year? I mean, I'm not going to suggest what your salary is, but I'm guessing at those kind of figures, we're probably talking like what, 30, 40 grand or something, just literally based on the conversation we're having right now. Um, and so, as we go into really exploring these solutions more, it sounds like from what you're saying, this is like a $40,000 problem. Is that fair to say? Yeah, cool. And
Mm.
then we start to really highlight, right, we need to get this shit solved. It's a big deal. Okay? So, problem. What do you like about what you're doing right now? So we've talked about this, and I'm actually gonna, because this is the full script for Crayon Construct. I will send this to you guys after the call. Of course, feel free to modify it for your own business. But a lot of this, like these questions, again, is literally just this, right? It's just these questions here, but in the framing of my own business, my own offer, and my own problems, and so on and so forth. So I'll send you the script. It'll be if you're watching this recording in school, you will see this script in the resources down below this recording. If you're watching on YouTube, then down below you will see the link in the description to join the school community for free, where you can access these resources like this script and the setter script, which I'll show you in a minute. But let me skip through this. Again, this is all what we've discussed already. And then transition. So again, this we talked about coaching offers earlier. So this is something, and there's a few bits in this script that I pulled from what was the guy's name? Is it Andreas something? I can't remember. I need to check his name. And there's like a lot of things that I've learned over the years of like, that have kind of gone into this melting pot of my own sales structure. So lots of things referenced are not originally from me. It's just stuff that I picked up and learned over the year. But this transition, the willingness to invest, very good for a coaching type offer or like a B2C high ticket offer. So in an ideal world, 6 months from now, what result would you want in terms of time or money saved in your business? And then what you can say to this is a follow-up question that I love. Are you at right now? So what this does is a really good way to price condition and check whether someone's got the money available, right? Where are they at financially? So in an ideal world, 6 months from now, what result would you want in terms of time or money saved in your business? Oh, I'd want to make like 20 grand a month extra. Okay, cool. Where are you at right now? Oh, I'm only at like 5 grand a month or 6 grand a month. Okay, got it. Cool. Compare that to saying, how much are you earning in your business right now? Yeah, it's kind of that's a bit of a person. Why do you need to know that? Oh, because I want to, tell if you can afford my product. No, don't do that. It's a little too confrontational. But if you position it as, so where would you want to be 6 months from now? If we work together hypothetically and we, help solve all those problems, where would you want to be financially? 20 grand a month, 50 grand a month. Okay, great. And where are you at right now? This is just a logical follow-up, right? So. Are you annotating? Oh, you're drawing arrows on my thing. I didn't know you could do that.
Me neither.
Oh, there you go. Can you click the there you go.
No.
Perfect. Thanks. We could start doing team efforts on these demonstrations. You could draw arrows and yeah, feel free to have a play around. Um, so paint the future. So again, this is my actual script. So I'm going to try and pull out a couple of points that are more relevant. Um, yeah. So this is again implications, pain of inaction. So just keep in mind for your own business, you follow this thread, you're going to do pretty well, right? Frustrations, implications, vision of the future, tee up the ROI, and then only then start shifting into pitching anything, right? You've got to highlight the value before you start diagnosing solutions, to use the doctor analogy from earlier. So again, this is something that was pulled from someone else. Can't remember the guy's name. Excuse me. But this again, for like coaching or high ticket B2C type offers, this is a very effective way to position what it is that you sell as direct solutions to their problems. Make the pillar name the result of what they say they want. So what would that look like? Okay, so let's say that we're talking about, let's just pick something out of thin air. I don't know, like a fitness offer or something like that, right? So let's say that they're interested in a high ticket bootcamp personal training program that you sell. Let's say the price point is, I don't know, $3,000 or something like that, and they've told you that they're newly focused on nutrition because they've had some scary health news from their doctor recently. Let's say that they've told you that they've always had love handles that they've never managed to shake in their life, no matter how much cardio that they do. And let's say that they've told you that they'd love to bulk up a bit and they've always had pretty strong legs, but they struggle to like bulk up with their upper chest, right? And so, okay, those are all surface level, but if you've done the first part correctly, what are the implications, the ramifications? Why is that important? Then what's the driver behind it? You know, it might be something like, look, I've always kind of felt more confident in myself and my body when I work out more. And if I could fill out a bit up here, like I know it's superficial, but it would actually help me feel more confident, which in turn would maybe help with my social life. And I'm, looking to maybe if it's someone that's like, I'm looking to date and meet someone, and that would really help me be my more authentic self. And because I want to create a family. And there's all these like, these extensions of the problem that you can delve into. And so when you get to then positioning the solution, if you were like a high ticket fitness coach, you'll position your pillars as those three things. So it might be the initial bulking and whatever you name the program or the product will be the 90-day bulk plan. Well, this is where we get started and really get you hitting the gym in the right way. Then the next pillar would be the cardio shred. Right. So after we've bulked, it's then time to lean down and we help you with your diet and nutrition and so on and so forth, which takes us to the third pillar, which is going to be the nutritional custom plan or whatever, based on your body type and your, dietary requirements and right? And so this is again the benefit for those of us that are starting with this higher ticket expert one-to-one model. You can really listen to what people need and start to pair what it is that you can offer to actually solving their specific problems. What that looks like for me when I sell my offer with Crayon Construct, people start talking about personalized outreach and the reasons that they want personalized outreach. I would often start to uncover, again, the drivers, the frustrations, the things that piss them off. And a common theme is rigid SaaS products that they use already. This is frustrating that I use HubSpot and I want to get data from there into like I can't get data from there into this system and run campaigns and do X, Y, Z. So it's like it's just so frustrating that I've got all these rigid SaaS products and I'd love to do outreach, but I can't nurture it properly and I can't get people on the team that spend so much time doing admin and blah, 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 blah. Okay, so then there's going to be rigid SaaS, there's going to be admin overload, and there's going to be the actual leads that I generate from the solution. And so the way that I might position that offer is database infrastructure first, build custom dashboard that fits how your business works, not that forces your business to conform to what the SaaS product does. And then it might be running cold email outreach with full visibility so the entire team knows what's happening, when it's happening, where it's happening, and it's fully integrated with your existing tech stack.
I want to clarify something.
Sure.
It's a question. Are you saying custom build the solution for the client based on what someone is offering? Or are you saying use the verbiage that they're selling? Sorry. Use the verbiage of what you guys talked about in the discovery section to reword your offering, but the offering stays the same.
Yes, exactly. So using their verbiage to reword the offer and make sure they understand why it's a fit for them. And this is the beauty of like, let's say, I mean, I don't want to use the life coaches example because it's just so general. It's just like, what do you do? Everyone's alive. Okay, good, cool, very niche.
But no, that's helpful. So someone already is selling something, goods, services, whatever it is, and they're just rewording, you're saying three pillars of the offer, and they
Yeah,
just reword it based on what the person says.
yeah, and
That's the structure.
exactly. So, for example, let's stick with this fitness offer. Like a cardio fitness program, for example, might help someone, well, it will help someone lose fat. It will help someone get better joint mobility. It will help someone
Gain confidence,
gain
gain
confidence.
energy.
It
Yeah.
will help someone increase their VO2 max, their cardiovascular capacity. It will help someone improve their heart health. And all of these things, like if you just sell, the cardio boot camp, and someone's like, I'm really interested in shedding my excess weight, right? And you're okay, I'll sell the cardio boot camp. It doesn't mean you can't sell it as a cardio boot camp if you properly bridge, the frustrations, the problems, the pains to this being the solution. Like if you make that connection, like yes, you can still sell it, but it's better if you position it as this cardio program is designed to help you solve that particular problem. Now, here's how to remember it. I mentioned this last week. So again, Susie might remember this. This is where so many salespeople back in my sales days, they used to do what's called feature dumping. They used to list out or say, like, just reel off all of the 8 or 9 or 10 benefits of what it is that they were selling. So again, for a lot of my career, it was SaaS. I've sold cars, I've sold roofs, windows, all sorts, like finance products, lots of things, right? The problem with feature dumping, again, let's stick with this fitness example, is if somebody's like, I want a program that will help me improve my heart health, and you start banging on about all the reasons that it's great for love handles and it's great for nutrition and it's great for confidence and it's great for this and it's great for this and it's great for this and it's great for this. What ends up happening subconsciously is they feel, well, I only really want 2 of the 8 things that they've listed out that this program does. So when you say the price is $3,000, they're just subconsciously thinking, I only want a quarter of this. So I'm actually paying $2,250 for stuff that I don't need, and only $750 worth of that is for stuff that I need. Now, they might not actually like do the exact numbers in the
Mm.
head, but subconsciously they're feeling the vast majority of what this is designed for is actually not relevant to me.
I've definitely done that before.
Yeah.
I've been on the receiving end where someone's going on and on about like gym benefits and for example, there's like a men's group or something and I'm not a man. And so it's
It's
like
like, what are you
not
doing?
relevant at all. Yeah,
Yeah, great.
yeah.
Thank you for really listening to me and who I am and what I need, right? So when you're demonstrating, this is a great example. So when you're demonstrating or talking about the value of what it is that you sell, less is always more. Do not fall into the trap of thinking, I'm not sure if they're bought in. I should say more things in case I find one that they go, oh, that's really good. It's no, it does not work like that. You've got to understand the pains, the frustrations, the
Mhm.
challenges, the implications of not solving those things, and then you just go really hard on the things that they say that they want. Of course, if your product solves those problems, do not give
Yeah.
yourself the inauthentic bullshit of like selling
Mhm.
people stuff that doesn't do what they want or isn't going to give them what they need. It's not worth
Yeah.
it. Don't do it.
Something that we've talked about before, and I also saw in a different program that I'm a part of, is a way to offer additional features that aren't directly related is by calling them bonuses. But then we've talked about this, you only bring up the bonuses after they signed to validate why. So if I joined a gym for cardio health or love handles or whatever,
Mhm.
and then a bonus is like using the red light sauna. That's good for skin psoriasis. Maybe I don't even have psoriasis. So if you were to sell me on a red light sauna usage,
Mhm.
I would probably write that off in the initial offer. But if I already sign with you for the other reasons, and you're like, hey, bonus, we're gonna throw in the red light sauna. It like validates psychologically, oh, cool, I get this bonus thing.
Mm,
And then it's like already included anyway, but you just word it as a bonus after they sign.
yeah.
Yeah.
Great example. And it's such a huge psychological difference.
It really is. It's really crazy, right?
Yeah. Because think of it like, if you do it as part of the package, they're paying the same amount of money and they're getting the same stuff
Right.
in the end, right? So the net result in both examples is exactly the same.
Yeah.
But in one example, the perception is I'm
Yeah.
paying for stuff I don't need. And in the other example, the perception is I've bought stuff that I
Yeah.
need all of. And on top of it, they're giving me this free bonus, which, yeah, I can use it if I want, but it's free, so it doesn't matter if I don't.
There was a story about this in Stephen Bartlett's book about QVC. And an example is like if you're buying a knife from QVC, the televised, whatever it was.
It's a great example.
They said, it's $25.99 for this amazing knife, and you get 39 of them for free. People are more likely to buy that versus you get 40 knives for $24.99
Mm.
because the value psychologically, it devalues the knife so that each knife is only worth like 50 cents. And then people are like, oh, that's cheap. I don't want to buy 30 cheap knives.
Mm.
So psychologically, it's better based on QVC's research and probably many others, is like psychologically saying this really, really good one thing, and then you get all these bonuses.
Yeah,
Yeah.
love that. Exactly. God, fuck
Based
it.
on
Yeah,
John, there you go.
so John, Amy, do you want to read out
Sure.
the
Based on behavioral psychological principles highlighted by Richard Shotton, particularly the choice factory and his studies on gold dilution. Gold dilution, that's
Mm.
great. Yes, there's a term for this. Marketers should generally focus on selling one primary feature or benefit or a very small number rather than listing every possible advantage. It's great.
Thank you, buddy.
Thank you.
Richard Shotton agrees. Don't feature dump / what does he
No
call
feature
it?
dump.
Gold dilution. Don't dilute. Don't
Gold
feature dump because it
dilution.
dilutes your
Perfect.
offer. Exactly. So oh my goodness, we got 3 minutes left. How do we do this? Okay. I was gonna go to a drink.
Actually, quite a lot. Do we have any questions from the peanut gallery? No.
All good?
Yeah. I'll talk just for a
Go on, John.
minute.
I'll talk.
I think it's interesting listening to you and seeing your structure.
Mm.
Yeah.
I think I mean, when I was 20, I studied Dale Carnegie,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
the book that you got with the course was called The Five Great Rules of Selling:
Mm.
Attention, Interest, Conviction, Desire, and Close. So once I understood that there was a sort of a framework and a journey that I walk somebody through, selling became a lot more efficient and effective.
Mm.
But what I've discovered more recently, because I'm sort of a student for life, really, of all this stuff. When you talk about someone like Dan Kennedy,
Mm.
he will talk about belief stacking. So I just wanted to say this on this call because people can obviously go and do their own research and whatnot. So there are things that have to be true before somebody can make the buying decision.
Mm.
And you can, and oftentimes this is actually dealing with the objections. And as you've said, if you can deal with them before they even come up, and you can stack these beliefs. But then there's an emotional journey,
Mm.
and people are, this is something, we have to move them in the emotional sense. They might be confused or anxious,
Mm.
or, sort of lost, and we've got to sort of get them to curiosity, and we've got to probably take them through one or two emotional steps, and then the way Schwartz, you're doing pretty much everything that Schwartz says, but you're doing it in a different order.
Mm.
Because what he says is when someone's unaware, you talk about the problem. When someone's problem aware, you agitate the problem, i.e., you talk about the consequences.
Mm-hmm.
When someone becomes solution aware, you invalidate the alternatives. When someone's brand aware, you talk about the mechanism. That's your demonstration.
Mm.
And then when someone's ready to buy, it's all about price and deal and, that sort of thing. So, yeah, I think there are these sort of art, and there's even the language. If someone's unaware, you're not going to say, if you're selling or if you're promoting as an affiliate Stuart's, launchpad,
Yeah.
you're not, if you're speaking to an unaware or problem aware audience, you're never going to use the words on, or you should never use the words online business at the outset. You could talk about ways of earning money outside of employment, or you could use other language, but there's a language journey even.
Yeah.
There are some banned words, aren't there? So it's only my 10 cents.
Yeah.
But mate, we always appreciate your 10 cents. It's fantastic. And like, the Eugene Schwartz market awareness, like you're right, it does mirror the sales process. We talk about the problem, we agitate the problem before we go into any solutions and demonstrations and so on and so forth. Obviously, we have to meet somebody's where they're at, because as you rightly
Yeah.
point out, if they don't even believe that they really have a problem. And I've had this like on sales calls recently. Like it's
Yeah.
like, why I've not uncovered enough of a motivation for someone to go, right, okay, show me what you got, because I really need to solve this. This is really important. They're like, yeah, okay, well, let me have a look, and yeah, and then they're like, well, okay, let me think about it. It's like they don't believe that they really have a problem, right? And I've gone into solution too early. I've
Yeah.
preemptively jumped the gun, So yeah, you're exactly right, mate. Exactly right. Thank you for sharing, as always.
Yeah,
So we're
I'll do
bumping
that with
over.
email. I'll do that with email.
Perfect.
I'll do that
Perfect.
with
Yeah.
email.
Love it, mate. Love it. Well, I'll tell you what we'll
Good.
do then. So we're over time, and we always have a commitment that we try and stop at quarter past the hour and no later to respect everyone's time. You guys are busy. So what we'll do on next week's call, we'll do another one on sales, and I really want to put some time and energy into objection handling. So this is the process that I take. Again, I've been teaching for many, many, many years. It's isolate, clarify, pre-close, handle objection, and close. I'll take you through that process in more detail, and we'll talk about how to handle some more specific objections, how to reframe, reposition, and you know, and deal with some of the most common ones. I want to think about it, and price
Mhm.
objections and so on and so forth. All right, so let's do an objection session on next week's call.
Sales part 3 next week on objection handling.
Yes.
Let's do it.
Next week we won't be wearing kimonos.
Sadly, no.
Sadly,
This
no.
is
This is
it.
it. This is the end. This is it. This is it. This was the kimono call. We'll call it the kimono call. Masterclass 26. I don't know. All right, guys.
For watching, everyone.
Have a
Thanks
lovely
for your
afternoon,
participation.
guys. Appreciate you.
Bye, John and Susie. Bye, everyone.